The quest for genuine intimacy in modern relationships often leads us to search for the grand, sweeping gestures of romance, the elaborate dates, the public declarations, and the milestones that look picture perfect from the outside. However, the deepest, most resilient bonds are rarely forged in these loud, performative moments. Instead, they are quietly built in the unseen spaces, where vulnerability takes root and armor is finally laid down. For a man navigating a world that constantly demands stoicism, hypervigilance, and relentless performance can be an exhausting endeavor. From a young age, society conditions men to mask their uncertainties, internalize their anxieties, and present a polished, invincible facade to the public. Consequently, the ultimate luxury for a man is not wealth or status, but finding a rare psychological sanctuary, a human safe haven. When a man finds a partner with whom he can completely disarm, his entire behavior undergoes a subtle yet profound transformation. He stops performing and starts simply existing. Recognizing when you have become this ultimate anchor for a man requires looking past conventional expressions of affection and tuning into the nuanced, involuntary shifts in his energy, body language, and daily habits. It is found in the way his physical posture deflates the moment he crosses your threshold, shifting from a defensive stance to absolute heavy stillness. It is heard in the raw, unedited stream of consciousness he shares with you, bypassing the mental filters he uses to protect his ego around everyone else. When a man views you as his sanctuary, your presence becomes a therapeutic necessity rather than just a weekend indulgence. He will seek you out for the most mundane tasks, share his unpolished and terrifyingly fragile ambitions, and willingly expose his smallest, most irrational anxieties. In your space, he is granted the rarest permission of all, the permission to be weak, to be silly, to be silent, and to be entirely human, without the fear of losing your respect or diminishing his masculinity. Understanding these unexpected signs is crucial for any woman who wants to deepen her relationship and recognize the profound level of trust she has cultivated. It allows you to see his vulnerability not as a lack of strength, but as the highest compliment a man can pay to a partner. When he brings his frustrations to you to regulate his nervous system, or when he mirrors your emotional pacing to find his own center, he is signaling that your energy is the only force capable of quietening his internal chaos. This detailed exploration of the 15 unexpected indicators of emotional safety is designed to help you decode his silent language of trust. By understanding these subtle shifts, ranging from sensory vulnerability to digital transparency and the prioritization of your mutual comfort over the world outside, you will gain a clearer, more profound insight into his heart, confirming that you are no longer just someone he loves, but the absolute safe haven where his soul comes to rest. The exhale effect when he enters your space, a man's immediate physical transformation upon entering. Your presence is one of the most profound, involuntary indicators that you are his ultimate sanctuary. The moment he crosses your threshold or sits beside you, a visible shift occurs. His shoulders drop, the tension in his jaw melts away, and he releases a deep, heavy sigh. This isn't a sign of exhaustion caused by you. Rather, it is the literal deflation of the armor he wears out in the world. All day, he is required to perform, compete, and stay hypervigilant. When he is with you, his nervous system registers absolute safety, allowing him to transition from a state of fight or flight into pure rest and recovery. This physical decompression proves that your environment is a psychological checkpoint, where he no longer needs to defend himself, making your presence the only place he can truly breathe easy. Unfiltered and immediate verbal processing. When a man views you as his safe haven, he skips the internal script editing and lets his thoughts flow in their rawest, most chaotic form. Usually men prefer to internalize problems, intellectualize their emotions, and only present a polished, solved version of a situation to the world. However, if he starts narrating his day, scrambling his thoughts out loud, or bouncing half-formed ideas off you without checking if he sounds rational, he is exhibiting extreme trust. He isn't filtering his words to maintain a specific image or protect his ego. He trusts that you will not judge his confusion, misinterpret his temporary frustration, or weaponize his vulnerability against him. This rapid-fire, unfiltered stream of consciousness shows that he doesn't just love talking to you. He relies on your presence to help him declutter his mind and find clarity, allowing physical stillness and dropping the protector posture. Society consistently demands that men occupy the role of the active provider, the resilient shield, or the stoic anchor. If he is able to collapse into utter stillness beside you, whether that means resting his head heavily in your lap, melting into a deep embrace, or lying completely immobile for hours, he has dropped his guard entirely. In these quiet moments, he relinquishes the exhausting responsibility of being the strong one by allowing himself to be physically vulnerable, heavy, and motionless. He is signaling that he trusts you to hold the perimeter while he rests. He doesn't feel the pressure to constantly move, fix things, or assert dominance. This level of physical surrender is a rare gift that a man only offers to the woman he views as his ultimate emotional anchor and sanctuary, voluntarily sharing his unpolished, unachieved goals. Most men are highly competitive and prefer to speak only of their concrete victories or finalized plans to avoid looking like a failure. But when he invites you into the messy, unformed blueprint of his future, the dynamic changes. He will share the dreams he hasn't figured out how to build yet, the ambitions that scare him, and even the paths where he feels entirely unqualified. Sharing an unachieved goal requires exposing his deepest insecurities and the very real possibility of failure. If he brings these raw templates to you, it is because he knows his worth is not tied to a timeline or a paycheck in your eyes. He relies on your belief in him to fuel his drive, knowing that even if those dreams fall apart, his standing with you remains completely secure. Seeking your presence during low-stakes, mundane tasks. A true safe haven isn't just for high-drama emotional moments. It is woven directly into the boring, ordinary fabric of daily life. When a man actively desires your company while he runs basic errands, fixes a household item, washes his car, or simply scrolls through his phone, he is seeking your energetic proximity. He doesn't need an elaborate date night, a shared activity, or stimulating conversation to feel connected to you. Your mere existence in the same room acts as a background hum of comfort that eases his baseline anxiety. He invites you into his mundane routines because the tasks themselves become lighter and more grounded when you are near. This desire for low stakes, companionship proves that your presence is a comforting necessity rather than just an occasional weekend luxury. Displaying rare, unguarded childlike humor or playfulness, a man's willingness to act completely silly, drop his mature composure and show a goofy, childlike side is a definitive sign of emotional safety. The world expects men to be serious, stoic, and in control at all times, which forces them to keep their playful instincts tightly locked away. When he breaks out into random dances, uses ridiculous voices, or engages in light-hearted, unprompted banter with you, he is revealing a side that the public never gets to see. He isn't worried about looking foolish, losing your respect, or damaging his masculine image because he knows your affection is unconditional. This unguarded playfulness is a direct release of built-up pressure, showing that your presence acts as a joyful playground, where he can finally shed the heavy burden of adulthood and just be entirely himself, mirroring your nervous system and emotional pacing. When a man considers you his ultimate sanctuary, his body and mind automatically tune into your frequency to find equilibrium. If you notice that his breathing syncops with yours while cuddling, or that his chaotic energy instantly settles the moment he sits next to you, he is practicing subconscious emotional mirroring. Men, who are constantly on edge out in the world, will actively look to their partner to gauge whether it is safe to relax. By aligning his physical and emotional pacing with yours, he is allowing your calm, grounded energy to soothe his own internal noise. He doesn't fight for control or try to dominate the emotional climate of the room. Instead, he allows your stability to dictate his peace, trusting your presence to bring him back to center, expressing sensory vulnerability around you. Sensory vulnerability occurs when a man allows himself to be overwhelmed or intensely comforted by physical sensations in your presence without trying to hide it. This could manifest as him closing his eyes in sheer bliss, while you run your fingers through his hair, or openly admitting that a specific noise, crowd, or environment completely drained his energy. Men are conditioned to push through physical discomfort and ignore sensory overload to appear tough. If he openly seeks out the comforting texture of your clothes, craves the specific scent of your skin to calm down, or admits when his surroundings are too overwhelming, he is letting you into his raw sensory world. He trusts you with his physical sensitivities, knowing you will provide comfort rather than viewing him as weak, welcoming your silence without feeling the need to entertain. In most social interactions, silence creates a lingering tension that people feel compelled to fill with forced small talk, or nervous energy. However, when a man views you as his genuine safe haven, silence becomes a profoundly comfortable, shared luxury rather than an awkward barrier. He can sit in a car with you for hours without saying a word, or work on his laptop while you read across the room, feeling completely fulfilled. He doesn't feel the exhausting pressure to perform, tell jokes, keep you entertained, or constantly validate the relationship. This ability to share empty space peacefully proves that your connection transcends verbal reassurance. His soul recognizes your presence alone as enough, allowing him to rest quietly in the security of your mutual bond. Admitting to minor fears or irrational anxieties, it is relatively easy for a man to discuss major, socially acceptable fears like financial instability or career hurdles. But sharing small, irrational anxieties requires a much deeper layer of trust. If he admits to you that he gets nervous before a specific routine phone call, worries about a minor social interaction, or harbors a silly superstition, he is handing you the keys to his true vulnerability. He is exposing the fragile parts of his ego that he hides from his friends, colleagues, and family out of fear of ridicule. By bringing these minor apprehensions to you, he is confident that you will listen with empathy rather than mockery. He knows his masculinity is completely secure in your eyes, making you the one person he can trust with his smallest worries. Initiating non-sexual, purely grounding physical contact. When a man's physical touch shifts from being purely driven by passion to being motivated by a need for stability, it shows you are his ultimate anchor. This manifests as him resting his hand heavily on your knee while driving, burying his face in your neck during a hug, or holding your hand tightly in crowded spaces. He isn't seeking a physical prelude to intimacy. Instead, he is using your body as a literal grounding mechanism to stabilize his own nervous system. The physical contact acts as an emotional tether that pulls him out of his head and back into reality. By seeking your skin-to-skin contact solely for comfort, he is demonstrating that your physical presence has a therapeutic, calming power over him, making you the one person he reaches for to find instant internal peace. Bringing his frustrations to you first, not to vent, but to regulate. A massive indicator of emotional safety is when a man brings his raw, unresolved frustrations straight to you, not to dump his anger, but because your presence helps him process it. Out in the world, he has to keep his temper checked and his frustrations bottled up to maintain professional decorum. When he enters your space and says, "I just need to sit with you for a minute because my day was terrible," that he is using your energy to reset his own. He doesn't expect you to solve his problems or fight his battles. He simply needs a secure environment to unload the heavy emotional weight he carried all day. Trusting you to witness his frustration without fearing that you will judge his competence shows he views you as his ultimate emotional shock absorber, leaving his protective digital boundaries open in your presence. In the modern digital age, a person's phone is often their most guarded boundary, containing private thoughts, stressful work emails, and personal interactions. When a man leaves his phone face up on the table, willingly lets you use his device, or doesn't scramble to hide his screen when a notification pops up, he is showing a profound level of comfort. This openness isn't just about proving he has nothing to hide romantically. It signifies that he doesn't feel the need to maintain an artificial wall of privacy around you. He views you as an extension of himself, meaning his digital world is just as safe for you to see as his physical one. This effortless transparency proves that he feels zero anxiety or defensiveness when his life is fully exposed to your gaze, trusting your intuition over his own logic on personal matters. Men are traditionally conditioned to rely strictly on logic, facts, and analytical problem-solving when navigating life's challenges. However, when he faces a complex interpersonal dilemma, a career pivot, or a stressful family dynamic and says, "What does your gut say about this?" he is elevating you to a unique position of trust. By valuing your emotional intuition over his own rational deduction, he is admitting that your perspective provides a clarity he cannot achieve on his own. He trusts your judgment implicitly because he knows you see him clearly, understand his blind spots, and genuinely have his best interests at heart. Relying on your guidance in moments of uncertainty proves that he views your wisdom as a protective shield for his life. Choosing your comfort over social or professional obligations, the final, definitive sign that you are his ultimate safe haven is his willingness to quietly prioritize your comfort over external social pressures or superficial obligations. If he notices you are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or tired at an event, he will immediately initiate An exit strategy without a second thought, or a hint of resentment. He doesn't care about missing out on networking or staying until the end of a party if it means ensuring you feel safe and relaxed. Your emotional well-being is his ultimate priority because your comfort directly mirrors his own peace of mind. By consistently choosing to protect your energy and retreat back into your shared bubble, he confirms that there is no place on earth he would rather be than in your safe sanctuary.